All right, shalom, shalom. First off, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Ba Hashem, Yahweh Shah, Ba Hashem, Rakah Kwadash. I want to give double honors to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone, and shalom and salute to the hopefully elect from the least to the greatest. All right. So, yep, this is GMS Baltimore. Ashan coming at you once again with another video, another lesson. This lesson will be pretty short, but I just wanted to bring to your attention that often when we out on the highways and byways in downtown Baltimore, we often bring up the ship. You know, it was a slave ship, or it was a navy ship that at the end of the post-slavery, they were supposed to have been capturing ships to stop the transatlantic slave trade, but and in reality, we all know what happened with that. Deals was met behind the table, and they end up getting into it before it was all said and done. But I got this book, right? I purchased this book some years, couple years back. It's called by Alexander D. Mitchell, and it's a book on the history of Baltimore, and it's quite interesting because it goes into the history. But if you look, it's called Baltimore Then and Now. If you look, it has the history on that ship. Certain as you see, you know, brothers been purchasing some books lately, you know, in the camp. Like one the elder, the last book that he purchased was The Sanctuary. It was the book on the hanging and the lynchings and the atrocities that our people went through during hardcore bondage. As you see, that's the skyline, the Inner Harbor, Fells Point, Canton. Now, that's during what, the 30s, 40. Oh, it says 1910. Okay, and this is modern day. This is what street is Light Street? That's right. We used to push on Light Street as well, but now here we go. All right, the ship that we always go into is called the U.S.S. Constellation. It says the only Civil War era U.S. Navy ship still afloat. Now, I've been on this ship. I took pictures on this boat and all that. I think they charge a fee to get on there, but it's been some years since I've been on it. But this is the boat that's at Downtown Harbor, right across the street from where we push at, and it's posted right there. This is an old U.S. Navy ship. Let's read it. Turn the phone up. All right, it says, the U.S.S. Constellation has been, I'll just read it, and I'll just read it from here. All right. It says the U.S. Constellation has been an Inner Harbor institution since 1955, when the wooden ship was rescued from years of storage at Boston Navy Yard and installed as a historical display in Baltimore. The ship in question was thought for years to be the more or less original frigate of the same name built nearby in 1797 as part of the original U.S. Navy. However, extensive research would prove that the original vessel was broken up and scrapped at Portsmouth, Virginia in 1853 and replaced with a newly built sloop of war built in 1854. It says this subterfuge subterfuge was apparently done to hide the construction of a new ship at the time when the U.S. Congress prohibited the construction of new Navy ships. So that proves that, for all the guys that be like, oh, where the ships are, they rebuild these ships just like cars, man. Like, they're not going to, where all the slave ships at? Well, these were cargo. A lot of these were Navy ships, cargo. They did big business. Building ships was like building cars. You know, for one year they'll have this model, next year they'll have another model, and so on and so on. When that model gets old, they breaking it down. That it goes into other pieces. You know, regeneration, the parts that's like asking where's all the cars at from the 30s. You know, it's probably still some around, but the majority of them been recycled. You know, same thing with the cargo slave ships. These things, bad boys, been recycled because the Industrial Revolution came through and they used steel instead of wood. If the society advanced somewhat, as and they went from using wooden ships to steel ships, why would they have wooden ships still laying around, a whole bunch of junk just laying around like that? No, they used it. They recycled that mess. All right. So reading on, it says, the last Salaki fall. I'm trying to keep this as still as I can. It says the last all sail Navy vessels built, the new Constellation would play an important role in both American interdiction of the slave trade and the Civil War. All right, so it says, let's get this. It says, right after, it says, right after decades of floating in the still waters of the inner harbor, the ship was removed to dry dock in 1996 for what would prove to be a complete rebuilding of the original vessel. During the restoration, historians confirmed that the ship was completely a creation of the 19th century. It was returned to the inner harbor in July 1999, and it is now preserved more accurately as the only Civil War era U.S. Navy ship afloat. So there we go. So this was a war ship that this is it in 1955. So this is the same ship, they just restored it. They would go and in other words, police the slave trade, stop it. You know, because that was big business. So at the end, when they stopped it, they still was doing it, right? So yeah, that's just a little history on the boat that's down there at the harbor. It's down there to this day, and they was involved within the trade, just like police. Now you got crooked police, you got police that's trying to do the right thing. Same thing that was happening back then, but most likely it was more corrupt back then because they wasn't overlooked like how they are now. You got the use of cameras and all that. There wasn't no cameras or anything back then. They were just recording things, basically writing them down. But now you can record strictly off of a camera. Every phone got a camera now. So the Heavenly Father amped up the technology, so to say. Because technology, this is old technology. Technology, all they do when society like this, they'll reintroduce the technology. But it's all of old. Like all the technology we have now is old technology. They just reintroducing it to us, to the regular folks. They call regular folks like us, regular working people. But the elites, they probably already had this technology for hundreds of years, and it just get passed down from generation to generation and through empires. Like one empire fall, like the Dark Ages, You had Jake ruling over in Europe, and you had Jake ruling over here. We most likely had technology, and they took it from us, and it was passed down and held until they rose to reintroduce it. But that's all I got on this particular lesson. Lord willing, this is edifying. Till again, shalom.